Hi, welcome to Help with Hannah Jones. I'm Hannah Jones. Thank you, Patreon patrons, for making this podcast possible. And thanks, Dude IDK Studios in Denver, where we are recording. This is a podcast where I answer your questions, Dear Abby style, and I have a guest in the studio today to help me do that. She's one of the creators of Firecracker Comedy. She belongs to a sketch group called Learning. It's Gabby Gutierrez-Reed.
Hi, hello.
Hi, I'm so happy to have you in here.
Me too. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Gabby just informed me that we have an extra salacious breaking news moment. And here's the thing. Anytime that you're gossiping with someone and they say, I have screenshots, you already know it's going to be a great fucking day.
It's like, okay, I partially hate screenshots because it's like, I don't know, you're always like, am I going to get screenshotted? But if you're
if you do something bad,
yes,
you are.
exactly. It's like, if you have nothing to hide, it's totally fine. But yeah, and then I get really excited when somebody's like, I screenshotted the whole conversation.
Yeah.
It's like, yes.
It's so good. And I will say that, like, I tend to not try to do things in writing if they're, like, emotionally charged. Like, if I'm having an emotionally charged conversation of a friend or a relationship, because it's like, I don't want you to necessarily, like, refer on things that I might not mean for more than a few minutes.
Totally.
But when other people do that, I'm happy that they made the mistake.
Right. You're like, okay, you just got a little unhinged in not an emotionally mature way, and this is where we're at now.
It's so good.
Yeah. Yes. Should I share it?
Yeah, so give us the backstory.
Okay. God, it's like one of those things where you're like, it's fun drama, but it's also like, damn, like, why did this have to happen? But, and I'm not going to say the person's name. I'm not trying to, like, blow them up. I have empathy, and I don't know what they're going through, but I just feel like it's annoying. It's a college friend. We were talking about, like, not even anything related to this. First of all, I'm a little annoyed because he had asked me about open mics here. I send him an extensive list. And
what if he starts doing comedy?
I bet he wants to, but he doesn't even live here. He lives in, like, an outside mountain town. So it's like, why did he ask me for open mics in Denver?
Oh my God.
I was, like, a little annoyed after he said that because I was like, I spend time, like, responding to messages sometimes. Like, I'll really think about it. And I spent, like, 15 or 20 minutes thinking about every single open mic that I thought would be fun to go to. So this is, like, where it kind of starts.
So he asks you for labor. He asks you for 15 to 20 minutes of labor for free.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have to, but I did. And then he kind of is like, oh, well, I miss you. We should hang out. And then I was like, oh, I didn't know that's where you lived. Like, if you're in Denver, let me know. And then he was like, okay, I'll find the screenshot. I'll find it.
Yes.
Read
him word for word to
yes. Okay. Maybe you can edit this part out with all the time that I'm taking to look up this screenshot.
No, you're fine. I'll entertain them in the meantime.
Okay, cool.
This podcast is sponsored by the Patreon. It's available in my link tree. It's only $3 to join. Patrons have first priority to get their questions answered. We will be giving advice to listener-submitted questions later on in the episode. This is kind of our intro portion. This person clearly needs some fucking advice. Okay, we got it?
Amazing. Wow. Okay. I honestly don't. He's just responding. He doesn't get down to Denver that much, but I need to soon and def want to see you. To be completely honest, I was so bummed when you hooked up with Bleep freshman
Wait, so
year.
that was out of the blue?
Yes.
That was just like you're talking about open mics and then he's like, to be completely honest,
yeah,
I can't believe you hooked up with another person who has nothing to do with me.
Yeah, it was like, oh, let's hang out when you're in town. And then that was like the thing. And then he was like, but he was kind of gross in like the best way, but it was a turn off at that point. I was so unlucky with girls in general my freshman year. Separate message. Are there any good shows coming up, like music?
The way he's rocketing back and forth between topics of like deep incel manipulation and then like, oh, and also like, what do you do for work?
Yeah, and I immediately screenshot it and sent it to my friends because I was like, am I crazy? Like, am I overreacting?
No, he's crazy.
And then, yeah, they were like, no, this is kind of slut-shamey. And then I was like, you know what, it is. And so he just like, it's just so weird that he just brushed over it. And then I was like, hey, I just want to recognize that this was weird and it was kind of slut-shamey, and I just want you to know that I didn't like it.
Hey, I'm proud of you for even saying that.
Thank you.
Not everyone would be brave enough to say that, but it needed to be said to him. It's actually generous of you to point out that what he's doing is wrong, because then he can learn from it.
I was hoping that, or at least just understanding that I'm like a person with feelings, and I know he's a person with feelings, but
his feelings are bad. They suck. His feelings are bummed out because you had sex with someone.
Yeah, and I feel like I responded with that. He didn't really recognize. He was like, "Oh, I didn't mean to make you feel like a slut. Now I feel bad. The fun's over." Like, that was his basically his
No one
response.
was having fun.
I know. He was like,
the DMs weren't funny or enjoyable.
Exactly. And yeah. He's just like, I'm trying to tell you I have a crush on you. And in my mind, I'm like, this is the worst way possible.
Also, it's like, yeah, point taken. It's not like, boys always, there's like a 5-minute conversation. The whole time they're telling you they have a crush on you. And then finally at the end, they're like, I guess what I mean is, I have a crush on you. And you're like, it started that way. It was so clear that this is where that was going.
It's like, whoops, sorry, I pushed you over and like poured all the Powerade on you. Just wanted to tell you I had a crush on you.
And the whole, like, I was so unlucky with girls freshman year. I fucking wonder why. Were you sending them DMs like this?
I know.
They were posting a thirst trap and you were in their DMs. It really bummed me out when you slept with Mark.
Just really bums me out that I can't put my face in your boobs right now, and I just want you to know that it's triggering for me. Yeah.
Really bums me out that you're just displaying your body for every guy to see, including people who aren't me. You should have sent this to me privately.
I love
as
this.
A friend of yours.
Thank you. I love role-playing as this person.
God.
Yeah, so this was like the initial message, and then, yeah, I had the whole back and forth. I tried to be nice. And this is where I've been trying to stand up for myself more this year, just
Good
in terms
job,
of
Gabby.
people like kind of crossing a line, whether it's an emotional line or like just kind of getting in your business too much. Like, I just am trying to do that, and you tried being nice one more time, and I've learned that like you can't. It's just most of the time you can't, and I think it really bummed me out because I thought this person was an important person in my life, but I just had to like kind of push him away. So I tried to be nice and be like, I didn't like this, you know, I'm going through a lot right now, and it just wasn't a nice message to read. But if you're in Denver, still let me know. You know, trying to open up, just be nice and like, let's catch up in person. I'm not trying to like be an asshole, even though I should have really just like blocked him there.
Yeah, it is funny because you're like, I'm trying to stand up for myself is still like 5,000 times nicer than I would have ever had the skills to be.
That's why it was a bummer when he was like, this was the last message. After not like recognizing anything I was saying, he was like, if you were a slut though, which you were not, from the Gabby I knew, I'd embrace that, and I would be glad you were a slut. I would uplift you for your slut ways and not shame you. This has gotten out of line. And I had my mom to coach me through this. She was like, because we were like bitching about people that have been annoying us. And I just sent, you're right, this is out of line. Please don't contact me again. And I blocked him. And I was like, oh, and my mom was like, I'm so proud of you, Gabby.
I'm so proud of you for blocking him.
Thank you.
Also, can we just, if you were a slut, I would embrace it.
He wouldn't let the slut shaming thing go. Like, he just got so caught up on the word slut. And like throughout the messages that he sent, it was just like 2 or 3 back and forths. He just kept going back to the slut thing.
There are 2 types of people in this world, sluts and not sluts, aka real human beings. And if you were a slut, I would still accept you and I would still eat dinner right next to your filthy whore ass.
Exactly.
But what I want to make perfectly fucking clear is that when I knew you in college, you were not a slut. You could be now, I don't know, but you were a real human woman back then. And that's why I wanted so badly to fuck you.
That was a perfect synopsis of this whole conversation. Yeah.
Wow.
And I just, I let it go, but what a perfect thing to bring up for this podcast.
I would never let that go. I would have posted it 17,000 times by now. It would be my tour graphics if it were me. It would be my cover photo.
Is so smart. I thought about it.
No, it's not smart. You should let things go. It's
I
better
gotta post this in my story so that people can see what we go through every day.
Yeah. My favorite thing is when you post like a really insane message to your stories and men like remember sexism exists and all your dude friends are like, oh my God, I'm so sorry you have to go through this.
Yeah, it is interesting that you have to show like the worst examples for your guy friends to be like, I can't believe this happened to you, and all the women are like, this happened to me last week. Totally. Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, amazing and terrible.
Yeah, I'm so sorry that happened to you. But out of all the bad things to happen to you, this one is a particularly funny story.
Yeah.
It's got a nice ratio of humor to awfulness.
It is. Well. It was funny. It was something to send my friends, and it made my week more interesting. Whether it was disappointing or not, I did laugh because he also kind of talks like a 5-year-old.
He really does.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, ready to get into some questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Alrighty. Number one, before we do announcements, I have shows coming up September 21st. I'm headlining in San Francisco. Low ticket warning for that. Chicago, October 6th, Austin, November 4th, and Des Moines, November 11th. And links to all of those shows should be up by the time that you listen to this. If you want to know when I'm coming to your city, sign up for the text list at the link in my bio. Number two, if you want a question to get answered in a future episode, you can find that link to that form in the podcast description or in my link tree on any social media platforms. Are you ready to get into it?
I'm ready.
Okay, these are some really killer fucking questions. We have a couple like especially long ones, so I'm glad that you did take a glance at them before.
Yeah.
But question number one. My brother has been seeing a girl for almost 10 years who seems to be a really unhealthy presence in his life. He met her when he was 19 and has been best friends with her since. Quote, best friends. But the relationship is more like a boyfriend-girlfriend and has actually been official on and off. They just don't use titles. This girl regularly puts him down, calls him very often, at least once a week, with emotional breakdowns that almost always occur during important things in his life, like family events, exams, or interviews, and has even hit him in fights before, from what he's told me. It seems that she has some personal issues that I am sympathetic to, but she drags him down with her in a way that seems intentional by interrupting his exams, classes, job interviews, and any time spent with family or friends without her by calling him for hour-long phone calls. Because they are not, quote, in a relationship, quote, he will very rarely go out on a date, and then this girl will demand to know everything, and he puts no further energy beyond a first date into other potential girls. Every person in my brother's life, friends, family, roommates, adamantly does not like this girl, and everyone who cares about him is worried. He loves her, but seems truly unhappy. He has admitted that he won't leave her behind because she has no one else. This feels like an abusive relationship, but saying anything negative or even encouraging him to pursue other girls upsets him and pushes him away from me and our friends. I don't know how to protect my brother, or if all I can do is stand by and be there for him while I think he's being at least emotionally abused. Signed, Worried Sister.
That sucks.
This is such clear-cut abuse.
Yeah, I'm glad we had the sillier one up top. This one is not. I've heard of relationships like this, and it's. I'm not a psychologist, a therapist, or anything like that, but it sounds like she has narcissistic tendencies. I have people with narcissistic tendencies in my family, and I don't know if like she's diagnosed with anything, but like for someone to specifically call on a person during important times in their life is a very common like pattern, because they're trying to make everything about themselves. So it sounds like that, and it sucks because you don't want to push your family away. And I've also been in that position where I'm like, well, somebody told me that they were getting really stressed out and I don't want to stress them out more.
Yeah.
So you do want to, like, not bring up the topic. But if you see someone, like, physically sad, emotionally sad, you want it to stop.
Yeah, it's tough because it puts you in this position of like either protecting yourself or having to like cut off this person and watch them like suffer because of that. I mean, I have no doubt she has very little in her life, very little support if she treats her support system like this. The real question is like, okay, your friend's clearly in a bad, or your brother in this case is clearly in a bad relationship. Like, what, if anything, can you do?
I think being there, whether, because it sounds like bringing it up makes him angry.
Yeah.
And all you can do is suggest seeing a therapist. Like,
Yeah.
I've suggested that to people in my life. Sometimes they say no. And you can't do anything about that. But you can kind of like hang out and talk about positive things that kind of are related and maybe try to like plant that seed, or like talk about I don't know if this is a great idea. Talk about a healthy relationship that maybe like makes that person think about what a healthy relationship is, and maybe he'll realize like this is really toxic for him.
Yeah.
But I mean, what else can you do other than like also hold an intervention, which
it's tough because a lot of times if you like draw a clear line in the sand and you're like, it's me or them, they will almost always choose the person they're in the abuse dynamic with.
Yeah.
That's like so common. And I've had that experience with a lot of my girlfriends when we were young and dating like weird, bad older guys. That was always the thing that was happening. And I feel like the thing you can do is always say once, in no uncertain fucking terms, I think this is awful. I think this is having an awful effect on you. I think this is technically an abusive dynamic that you are in. I do not want to ever give you the impression that I support this relationship. That being said, I'm not going to make your life harder than it already is by being like weird and down on you every time that you like talk about something that's going on in your life. But just know that is how I feel, and that is how I will always feel, even after this conversation is over. And then at that point, all you can do is be there for them, I feel like.
Yeah, exactly. Like, literally try to force yourself in the most acceptable way. Be like, oh, well, we're going to do this fun thing. And try to like, kind of like steal him away from that person by making other things more appealing. I know it's so much work and it sucks when you care about someone so much. Like, you feel them slipping through your fingers and like you can't do anything, but all you can do is keep trying. And it sounds like he is kind of just depressed and sad. If there's no addiction issues, that's good. But it does suck to like try to keep showing up and putting forth all of this effort and maybe not seeing anything from it right now, but like,
it's interesting. It kind of reminds me, because I'm pretty sure there are stats on this about like the predictor of whether you're able to get out of an abusive relationship is like the other support network that you have in your life. And the do you remember the like experiment with the rats and cocaine?
Yeah.
Where it's like, if the rats would like do cocaine recreationally, if they lived in like a fun, enriching environment, they would just be like, no big deal, cocaine on the weekends. But if they put the rats into like rat prison and then they gave them a little bit of cocaine, they would keep doing the cocaine until they died. And the idea is that like the other richness that you have in your life depends on your ability to be resilient to these sorts of things. So you can, the most impactful thing that you can do is be that other source of like richness and support in his life.
Yeah. Like, what are his interests? It sounds like she's invested in his dating life. That doesn't seem to be working because of this partner that is taking his time away and being jealous and making him feel bad for going on dates. But like, what does he like? Are there things that you could go to where he could meet people that are that person that is better, that can like make him realize, no, you don't have to keep going back to this person because you don't have somebody else. And it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, because friendships are just as enriching. Like, really, really good friendships where you feel amazing after you hang out, whether it's like, oh my god, we're gonna play D&D tonight, or like we're gonna play soccer, or we're gonna play video games. Like, I don't know. I'm not this other person, but those things are more interesting to me sometimes more than a romantic relationship.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't think there are a few things where you're like really pressuring him to get with other girls. I don't think the way that he's going to get out of this dynamic is by meeting someone who's just like, oh, like the pussy's better.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Is he
goes a lot
pussy from
deeper
this?
with
Like,
that.
that's
Off and
wanna,
on, they
off
say.
And on, okay.
I'd imagine not when she's interrupting his job interviews with mental breakdowns.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the pussy's probably incredible.
It's probably real good.
But he's not gonna find better pussy from like a healthy girl.
Yeah.
That's not happening.
I know. Damn it. Damn it.
But yeah, and it does feel like you're kind of like really prioritizing the like exams, classes, and job interviews. The good news is that like none of that shit matters nearly as much as you and him think it does because you're both young. None of that shit is truly the shit that's going to impact his life. And he is going to go and get better jobs and move to different places. And she will most likely, like, I feel like it's so much easier to get out of this type of relationship when you're that young and your life is going to have other phases.
That's an interesting, like, if he literally moved, like, would she be like, I'm moving?
And he, like, most likely will at some point, either for, like, college or for a job.
Is he 29? They met at 19. So.
Oh, wait, hold the fuck up. I thought he was still like 19 or 20. That's
he's 29.
Totally different. He's 29. That's actually really rough. He's going to need he's going to need to work at getting out of this relationship. God, 29 is really when you kind of like get in your rut.
Encouraging therapy, like sometimes
this man needs therapy.
It's so hard to get someone to go to therapy. But and then it's hard to find a good therapist, which is also discouraging. But if you can find him a really good therapist that he vibes with, the breakthroughs that you can have are like so good.
Hey, 29. I'm glad that you actually noticed that. In that case, your whole family needs to sit him down ASAP and say, we want you to be in therapy. Don't focus on the girl because, again, he's just going to cut you guys out and be enmeshed with the girl further. So just focus on we want you in therapy, on adding other elements to his life that will support him getting out of it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, worried sister. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Number 2. Okay, this is another late bloomer question, and we've had a couple of these in a row.
I saw a clip today.
Yeah, and I don't want it to be repetitive, but at the same time, it's like so many people, so many of the listeners have this same issue that I usually have one like generic dating advice question for every guest because I want everybody's individual take on it. So I know it's repetitive, listeners, but you're all asking it. Okay. I was a late bloomer, and now in online dating, I'm matching with women I feel are out of my league. How do I not bottle it? I didn't date in high school or college, and now in my late 20s, I'm dating online. I'm getting matches, but I overthink it because there are some really stunning women I've matched with. How do I not overthink this and mess up? Signed, Online Oliver.
All right.
It's such a nice... Because usually...
That's really sweet.
Usually the questions have been like, I think my standards are too high. I have nothing to offer. And this one is like, the women I'm matching with are just so gorgeous.
Yeah, they're too good for me. They're very smart. They have a high IQ.
And they probably are.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. You sound great.
Yeah, Oliver, what a great name.
Truly.
Ollie, if I may.
If he's a dog.
Yeah. I love dogs. No.
Or a baby.
Or
like your baby cousin.
Yeah. Lee? No, I just keep... I'm trying to give this person a nickname. I'm actually kind of jealous of late bloomers, and I think that means you like didn't date super early?
Yeah, it usually means either you didn't get hot or you didn't have any dating experiences until later than average.
Yeah.
He didn't date in high school or college. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can see how it's a bummer, but like I dated in high school and immediately my first relationship ended up being incredibly toxic, and then my second wasn't, third was. It was like I went back and forth between these toxic relationships, and what's interesting is dating early can also ruin your self-worth.
Yeah.
Like, there's two sides of the coin. There's self-worth as in, I haven't had sex yet and I don't know if I'm good enough for anyone, and there's self-worth by literally somebody telling you, you can't leave me, you can't do any better. So
yeah, if a man had told me I was hot when I was 14, I would have never left that man. He could be Genghis Khan. I would be like, I'm right by your side.
Right by your side, babe. Say babe. Whatever.
You called me hot once, the year I needed it the most.
Yeah. And then you're just pillaging villages for the rest of your life with Genghis Khan. You're like, God damn it. I can't live any other life. This is where I'm meant to be.
I would have been stuck. So consider yourself lucky is what we're trying to say.
Yes, you are very lucky that you didn't get no puss. Okay. I don't even know. Is Oliver a man? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay, probably, most likely.
Well, not specifically. There's a person named Oliver who dates women.
Yeah.
I will also say that people who date early, and this is by no means happens to everybody, but a lot of people who date early get weird with friendships because because they're used to being in like codependent relationships, because when you're like 14, every relationship is codependent because it's like you don't have any other perspective in the world.
I know.
And I definitely knew like there was this like the serial monogamists who are always in relationships get super weird the older you get. You're like, ugh.
Yeah, serial monogamy is real. I have lived that life, and it is.
You're not weird though.
I'm not
from it.
Yeah, behind closed doors, you know, I'm a little weird, Gabby, but I do stand up. That's weird. But I think Oliver, is this the camera?
Yeah.
You are worth it, Oliver, and you deserve those people. And you're probably more emotionally mature than half the probably men out there. And you're going to be able to give these women way more than most of the men on these dating apps. I'm just going to tell you. Yeah. I mean, you heard my story at the beginning of this podcast. Most of the men are like that. As long as you don't be weird and keep bringing up how much of a slut these women are, I think you got this.
And here's the thing, Oliver. If you're repeatedly matching with some really stunning women, not to be a fucking creep, you might be a regular old catch yourself.
Yeah, a knockout. Yeah. You might be, I don't know. Yeah.
You might be funny. You might have a nice smile or a mustache.
Blue eyes, maybe
you
green.
You never know.
Hazel.
All eye colors are accepted, generally. Except for like orange, I think, would be bad. But
yes, go to an eye doctor.
Good news for you, Oliver. It sounds like you're doing great. How do you not overthink this? Really try not to get into, with online dating especially, into the like pattern where you're addicted to the dopamine rush. Yeah. So really try to, this is my favorite tip, set aside maybe an hour, like 20 minutes at the end of the day. It's like you get home from work and open up your dating app and respond to all of your messages and give people your number if you want to communicate further. Don't have full conversations on a dating app. And then like set it to like lock the app so that you don't get on it the rest of the night, and just communicate with people normally and not in a way where you're like chasing that high. Yeah. Keep the chasing of the high for the in person. As far as not being nervous on a date,
I mean, practice makes perfect. You gotta go on dates.
Get the reps out there. If it's really debilitating, take a beta blocker. I don't know, man. Like,
slow that heart down.
Yeah.
Maybe you feel like you're gonna die, but in a good way.
Yeah. Don't. A lot of men, I think, specifically do this with their nervous to date. Don't drink too much before the date. It'll make you so much weirder. Yeah. Do breathing exercises, somatic exercises, right?
Tips for dating. I think I've heard from like so many of my friends, don't watch sports. Don't go to a place where there's like sports on. For some reason, like I have a friend that's been on multiple dates where men have like eaten a bunch and just like watched the television. I don't know.
Are you joking?
No, I don't know why.
Are you sure they weren't accidentally going to an open mic?
Yeah, they were at an open mic. They actually just showed up and sat next to the person they had a crush on. No.
Men are obsessed with, there's a certain type of man who loves to set a date that is just like a thing he was already going to do. Yeah. And he's like, you can come. Like dudes will invite women to their comedy shows, which I always think is absolutely bonkers. Our friends do this.
That's wild.
And I always think it's so bonkers.
I feel so bad. And if it's a guy, I don't generally like talk to them. But if a guy brings a girl to a comedy show, I try to be nice because they have no one to talk to. They just came to watch this person. It's so self-indulgent.
It's so bad. And I had an era when I was dating that I was like, I'm going to be a male comic. That's what I kept saying to myself. I'm going to date the way a male comic does. I am going to only fuck fans, first of all.
Oh, my God.
So I had a whole, it was when I was just coming up on social media.
Amazing.
And so I was just like, I'm just only going to fuck fans. I'm going to post that I'm single, and I'm just going to, and that was weird. That was a weird
I'm sure it's
phase.
really weird because fans like really look up to you, and
yeah, and I think there was one time that I was like on a date and someone was like, "It's like that joke you made on the internet."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, this feels gross." But well,
I was dating someone for a little bit, and I had brought up in the conversation, it just organically, that's like kind of a tough thing, like when you bring up jokes, and she was like, noted, not gonna do that.
Cute.
And I was like, that's very receptive of you.
Yeah.
But yes, it's weird when someone's like, oh my God, that's just like your joke where you say you don't like to wear condoms, so like I don't have to wear a condom, right?
Oh my God. Well, that's also, okay, so I have this closer, which I've been doing for many, many years on most shows, that is about... It's about the fact that like men should be eating you out.
Oh yes, I know this.
When I first started doing this closer, it was kind of like during an era when like unreciprocated oral was really being talked about a lot, and like men weren't eating you out, and so the joke is that like men can be like deceptive. So the thing is, you should lie and say you're about to come.
Super
so
funny.
that they'll like keep eating you out because they always think you're about to come. And like the idea of the joke at first was like women can be like deceptive and weird about sex and manipulative the same way men are.
Yeah.
That was my first thought. And now I think the cultural conversation has really changed, and it feels a little bit more like I sound like I'm just obsessed with getting head. And I have had multiple people that I have dated who have seen my comedy set be under the impression that I specifically want head more often than I do. And I don't really want it that much at all.
And you want them to not be able to talk after.
Yeah. I'm like, 3 hours. And they're like, yeah, I can do that. And I would get so many DMs, constant DMs that were like, I want to eat you. And specifically because the line from the joke is like 3 hours. And they're specifically like, I want to eat you out for 3 hours. And every single time I was like, I don't think you got the joke.
Also, that's not really a good opener.
No, it's not. I tell you what. That's a terrible opener. And also, you didn't get the joke.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, yeah. So, Oliver, don't open with that.
Yeah.
I think there's so many things that can set you apart from like the general dating field. Just like listening, asking questions about someone and their life and showing that you care.
If you are a straight man, which it seems like you are, make plans and be a little old-fashioned about that. That's really rare these days, and a lot of girls just swoon over.
Yeah.
Like make a reservation. Ugh, they love it.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's just dating's tough. You don't know why people want to date. I don't know why Oliver's dating if you just are super looking for a relationship, or if you kind of just want to hook up with some more people.
I think pussy.
Yeah. Get some.
In all its
yeah,
forms.
Eat that. And, like, explore yourself sexually. Like, don't think you just have to have it be one thing. Like, think about what you want, too, and that could kind of steer you in the direction of what kind of dates you're going to go on. But, yeah.
Okay. This next question is another dating question. What are best practices for when you're casually dating and one person asks your plans for the day and you're seeing a different person? ? Scenario. You meet 2 people on Hinge and it's early on. You're seeing person 1 this afternoon and person 2 asks, what are your plans for the day? Saying, I'm going out with a friend seems a little disingenuous, but saying, I'm meeting someone for a date can definitely give person 2 the ick. Signed, Shaquille O'Neal.
Wow, that someone that famous is messaging you?
And he's concerned because he's casually dating.
Yeah, yes.
I have had this extremely specific interaction before, and I think there's a good possibility the person I had the interaction with is who submitted this question.
Whoa,
so I thought it would be funny to get your perspective on it, because I will say that when that happened to me with this person,
what? Sorry. You know this? Maybe you know this person?
Well, yeah, I went on a couple of dates with them. I think it might be them, or it might be a common experience. Okay. I think it could be a common experience.
It could be a common experience, but that's so funny that you're like, this is so specific.
It did happen to me. Yeah, extremely specific. And I responded, I made it clear that their response, they were just like, I'm going on a date. And I made it clear that their response annoyed me. And then they talked about it later. They were like, I thought I was just being honest. And I was kind of like, it felt like you were purposefully trying to send a passive aggressive message. Yeah. And what I realized since some time and space has progressed since then is that I felt like there were a number of tiny and subtle things that they were doing where they were trying to send the message that things were casual. And this is one of my biggest dating annoyances that happens to me pretty consistently, because I think if you're casually hooking up with someone, it's fun to be nice to that person. I think it's fun if you're friends with benefits to be really warm and friendly and sweet. Yeah. I think it feels weird to potentially even have sex with someone when you're not also being sweet to them.
I think lots of people can cold shoulder someone that they're hooking up with for some weird reason.
And I think a lot of men specifically do that with women that they're only seeing casually. They think the way to make it clear that it's casual and not a relationship is by being rude.
Yeah, not answering texts.
Yeah, and so I'll be sweet to them, and they'll be like, she's getting the wrong idea. Yeah. And it's no, I wasn't getting any idea. The idea I had was that it would be nice if we were nice to each other.
Yeah, that's totally fair. In this specific case,
you have the opposite.
No. I mean, I totally agree with you. If those were the feelings you were having, they're totally valid to feel that way. And if you expressed that, I just don't, I get the impulse to get defensive immediately, but just having one or two more sentences of clarity can really put your guard down. You know, if he had just asked you and listened to you and was okay, I didn't realize you felt that way, and I totally understand. You know, recognizing your feelings and then making you feel not crazy would be nice.
Well, and I think he did. I think after I made it clear, I was kind of fuck this for that particular night after we had a short exchange, and then just didn't text him back. Yeah. And then I think that in the future when we addressed it, he would super hurt my feelings, and it was done. But then I realized he was just being honest. It was not necessarily fair for me to be upset with him, and I don't even know why specifically. I think it was literally just the context. But then my question for you is so if you're dating multiple people casually and they ask you what your plans are, and the truth is that you're going on a date with someone else, is that your go-to answer?
I think if you're just dating, planning on seeing people, not clearing up or being in a committed open relationship, you don't have to tell that person you're going on a date. I mean, obviously try to have safe sex and get tested and all of that, but I don't think you have to do that if that's not what you agreed on. But really it's about communicating, and if you've come to an agreement, respecting that agreement. And if you're in an open relationship, that's where you really have to make the ground rules, and if that is a part of that, then yes, communicate nicely that you're going on a date. Have you seen, what is her name? She went on tour with Patty Harrison and Sarah Scorum.
Oh, I don't remember.
If people know who I'm talking about, she just has a hilarious Instagram and TikTok, but the joke is telling your secondary partner you're going on a date, or primary partner you're going on a date, and you have to be I'm so excited for you. It's just amazing work, but it's all tough. If you're not looking for a serious committed relationship, it is kind of going against the grain of what society has wanted you to do for so long. So.
I fully agree with you. Everything that you just said about right and wrong. But I'm still curious because I think I might be in the minority of people who, like, my default would be to pretend that you're not seeing anyone else, even if it is casual and it's clear that you're seeing other people. And, like, I would never have guessed that we were only seeing each other because that wasn't the case. What would be your go-to if someone asks you and the truth is you're going on a date and you're not in an open relationship, you've just like maybe been on a couple dates with them and they're trying to schedule date number 3? Yeah. What would your instinctive response be?
I wouldn't tell them I was going on a date. Maybe just say like, oh, I'm just like hanging out for the night, or I don't know the specific text I would send them, but
sample size of 2 then. I feel like we have the majority that is like maybe a more common preference, and I don't even know why that is because it is fake. I knew he was seeing other people, but it's like for some reason I just don't want to like hear about them. It makes me feel weird.
It's weird. I can go either way. Like I sometimes don't want to know, and then sometimes I'm like, oh, that's kind of hot, I guess. But not knowing who the person is, it's kind of hot. But if I like had a clear picture, I'm not sure if it would be hot. But
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now you have an extra sample size.
Yeah. Boom. 2 is actually medical journals recommended sample size.
And it would be funny if this is not the person that it happened to me with, and this is just a common experience. We're like, really helping the masses.
Excuse me, person behind the screen.
Okay. Continuing on our train of getting more and more lighthearted. Question number 4. And this one's a doozy.
Okay.
Do you think being compared to the appearance of a Muppet is a total burn or is supposed to be a funny joke, like we all have a Muppet we resemble, either looks-wise or personality-wise? In further context, I had a close friend I had to cut ties with because they compared my ex to a certain Muppet, and I didn't immediately stop them from making that comparison since I didn't recognize it as an insult at that time. It took me to think about it later. After the event, I was at a big wedding and drinking when I got the message. Anyway, I was put in harm's way because of this joke, and my close friendship evaporated after my ex saw the message, and then my ex was upset that I never defended her, even though being compared to a Muppet is not on my list of insults. I didn't recognize a danger to her because it seemed harmless and she wasn't going to see that message anyway. I was wrong. During the reception, X grabbed my phone and read all the messages, continued to drink 5 more alcoholic beverages that were pretty strong, and she had almost no motor control by the time the bride came to check on her. So I had to help getting her in the car to go home while everyone else went out to the bars and kept drinking. Everyone needs to stop drinking in the story, to be clear.
Please.
I guess I didn't think anyone would take the joke that seriously. My friend was in a committed relationship with a banker in another country, so it's not like I was having daily communication with her about what Muppet my girlfriend is. Your friend was a girl!
I know.
This changes everything.
Yeah, whoa.
It was just out of the blue on a really important day. I still think this was the most painful breakup I've been through over something so small but impactful as which Muppet are you? X went through my phone and hid her anger about the Muppet thing for over a month before coming to me about it. We broke up not long after that. She dumped me. The Muppet my friend called her was Zoot, if you want to Google that. Signed, MuppetMeetup.com. I am Googling Zoot Muppet, who I have not seen until now.
Wow. The story is just awesome.
It's bad.
Oh,
Gabby,
whoa.
I don't think a lady would want to necessarily be.
I think it depends on what you're into. I wouldn't mind being Zoot, but I have a good sense of humor.
Okay, I will say when I first read this through in preparation for the podcast, I was picturing it being like a you in a chat with your boy. Yeah. And your boy was like, she looks like a fucking Muppet. And he didn't even mean anything necessarily mean by it, but like that would be hurtful in a specific way that I can understand you wouldn't understand. But now that I know that it's a girl, it's the girlfriend, and the fact that you had to clarify that she's in a relationship and it's not like anything was going on means that there was some jealousy or suspicion. Mm-hmm. And she said your girlfriend looked like a Muppet. That is not a hot girl Muppet. Miss Piggy's probably the only acceptable one.
Yeah. It's weird. I don't know. Like, what?
So
I do think Zoot is cool. Zoot plays the saxophone. I just want to make that clear. Very cool instrument. Zoot wears chacos. Not as cool,
You're
but
acting
still
like
a little
you're
cool.
the boyfriend and you're explaining to your girlfriend that it's actually a compliment.
Here's the thing. Zoot wears sunglasses inside. Arguably could be very cool. There's a whole song about it.
The worst part of this is that your ex is being like clearly, obviously, like very sensitive and crazy. And at the same time, I would react in the same exact way. If I found a text from a girl that I vaguely knew on my boyfriend's phone, comparing me to someone I didn't think was attractive, I would drink 5 drinks and make him throw me in a car home, not talk about it for a month, and then dump it.
This is how I was when I did drink. I would just start fights, and I would be like, no, it's nothing. Nothing's wrong. And then I would storm out and slam the door and be like, no, don't follow me. I'm just going to bed. I'm really tired right now. Like,
I will say that, like, as a dude, you should know that comparing a woman's appearance to something else is fraught. It's dangerous territory.
Yeah.
And if you're not sure that the comparison is positive, if you don't look at that thing, like let's say you're comparing her appearance to a chair. If you don't look at that chair and you're like, I want to fuck that chair and most dudes would want to fuck that chair, then it's off limits.
You can't.
That's how fraught this topic is. And I would say that like whether or not that's rational and chill of women as a whole to be like that, that is the majority of women you're going to run into. You could date the cool girl who just doesn't care about anything her looks are compared to, sure, but like 99% of women, it's going to be a little fraught conversation. And if someone refers to your girlfriend as looking a certain way, make sure that she doesn't see that.
I'm not saying the comparison. It's the fact that it was another girlfriend that probably you have a thing with.
She sounds like a bitch. Yeah. She has a long-distance boyfriend. She's texting you while you're at a wedding and you're a little drunk. And she's like, oh, you're there with your girlfriend. She looks like Zoot.
Yeah, I don't like it.
She sounds like the worst.
Yeah, I think the girlfriend, it's like going through the phone. I guess I just don't know how old these people are. It feels like kind of a younger thing to do, but not necessarily. But going through the phone and then like waiting to say something is bad. Like, I don't know.
The breakup was good. It wasn't a good relationship. Yeah. A good relationship could have gotten through that, but she would have still been hurt. You know?
Learn from your mistakes. This person was not for you.
The fact that you lost a friendship over it is very interesting because I'm guessing it's like the girlfriend brought it up and then you like cut that friend out of your life and then the girlfriend dumped you and now you're like, fuck, I don't have a girlfriend or a friend.
It sucks that there was a last-ditch effort to make things work.
I feel like you could definitely repair the friendship. Depending on what you did to cut the friendship off, I feel like now that the relationship is over and there's no complications, you could repair it.
Yeah, if you didn't respond with, well, you look like animal, I think it would be totally repairable.
I think it's also, if your girlfriend got that upset about you not defending her from a comparison she thought was unflattering, I think, and then she dumped you about it. Mm-hmm. She was ready to end that relationship because she knew when she sat down and looked at the relationship as a whole, she knew that you just didn't make her feel like loved and wanted.
Yeah.
On a broader level. Or and so that relationship wasn't going to work.
Get along. Like something didn't click with you guys. I don't know this person, so I don't want to be like they were failing in the relationship, but something was.
Yeah.
Not working. Who do you think you would be?
I was about to ask you that. I don't know. I never watched the Muppets as a kid.
Oh, okay. I didn't watch full episodes, but I feel like it was in like my realm of media so much. Mm-hmm. Like I would see it before a commercial break, before something else, or like just online. And I really, really like Beaker. Beaker is a silly soul.
And if your boyfriend's platonic female friend compared you to Beaker in a text message, how would that make you feel?
I'm trying to think. It wouldn't be about the comparison. The text would make me feel bad.
Yeah.
If it was flirty.
Because it's like, why is she talking about how I look in general?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or trying to make fun of me.
Yeah, I think both those girls have a lot of growing to do.
Yeah.
And so do you, sir. In general, do if someone makes a comparison that your girlfriend looks like X thing, be like, just do make it extremely clear that you find that so hot and sexy and perfect and beautiful.
Exactly.
And then you won't have this problem in the future.
Yeah. This is obviously a core moment in this person's life, however old this story is, but learn from it and don't do it again.
Yeah.
And date someone that you really like.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Gabby, where can people find you if this comes out in 2 to 3 weeks?
They could follow my Instagram at shishkebab. I'll spell it because it's, SHISHGABAB. I also have a website, gabbygr.com. It has like some sketches on there and firecracker comedy that links you to the Instagram where you can watch stand-up clips and shows wise. September 14th. Will they see it before then? I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, whatever. That's our Hooked on Colfax show, and that'll be fun.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
The going away firecracker.
I suppose so, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys so much for coming. You can find everything about me in the link tree on all of my social media profiles. Have a great day.